Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Missing Lynx Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, credentialed beat reporter for ZoneCoverage for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx. And we have another win to talk about after the Lynx come out and just dismantle the Aces, 109-78, which... kudos to the Lynx. We've been asking all season for them to play a complete game, and they decided to play a complete game against an underwhelming Aces team, I think would be fair to say. I'm not hopefully offending too many people with that, but 12-13 I think is rather underwhelming considering, what the Aces have meant to the league for as many years as they had. A'ja Wilson fully healthy now, and it's still just a tough loss for the Aces. But with the Aces losing, it means the Lynx win. So let's get into the game a little bit. There's not a whole lot to say other than it was just kind of a complete dismantling by the Lynx. I believe it was 14-12 at one point. The Lynx after that went on a 13-6 run to make it 27-18 at the end of the first. Outscored them again by 7 in the second. Outscored them by 8 in the third, and outscored them by 7 again in the fourth. It was such a kind of lopsided win that even the Alana Smith only played 18 minutes. It really was just a all around great win. Going into kind of the individual superlatives of the win, Fee was great. 7 of 12, 25 points. She was plus 28 on the night. She had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, had a steal, no blocks tonight, but did have a couple really good defensive possessions against A'ja Wilson that looked really good in the grand scheme of things. Fee, I will say, and we can touch on that topic now, I suppose. She was wearing a kind of compression shoulder sleeve on her left arm. And we asked Cheryl about it after the game. She said she got a little dinged up against Chicago in the last Sky matchup, and they used it as more of like a precaution than anything. We talked to Fee about it after the game. Fee was a little bit more illuminating. She said that there was a brace underneath there, and that the thought process with wearing it was just to kind of give a little bit of pain relief. Said she took some Tylenol and sucked it up essentially, but it's notable, and I feel like it's notable because Fee went 10 of 13 from the free throw line. This is a player that has hit 40 consecutive free throws this season. She is a excellent free throw shooter, and it just kind of makes me wonder if maybe that shoulder was feeling a little tight, a little painful. But at the end of the day, she was awesome. 25 points. She looked absolutely in control. She had a couple possessions where she gets the ball on the block and just completely moves, like an Alyssa Smith or even like Dana Evans. I mean, she just moves players when she gets into the low block. We did ask Cheryl and the players about the free throw discrepancy as well. 38 for the Lynx, just 23 for the Aces. I think if I'm going to be completely honest, a few of those calls against the Aces were pretty tough calls. Might not have been a ton of contact there, but to me, it seemed like the game was officiated one way in the first half, and then coming out of halftime, it got chippy. Shepherd took a pretty hard fall. There's just grabbing and handsiness, and I think the refs recognized that this game might end up in some technicals or some flagrants if they don't get a grab on it. And they took it upon themselves to kind of get a hold of the game to prevent anything from spilling out anything more than that. Ryan, I see your comments about Rob. I'm doing a Lynx live stream right now. Shout out to all the listeners. We'll be doing Wolves stuff in the near future, I promise. Back to the Lynx. So I think the officiating was pretty fair in the first half. And then in the third quarter, they just really tried to reel in that physicality. And unfortunately, the Aces are a really physical team and did not adjust as fast as, you know, as fast as they would probably like. And even going into the fourth quarter, kind of the ticky-tack nature of the fouls just continued to bleed into it and really kind of affect the game. But I feel like there was at least purpose in how the game changed from an officiating standpoint. And at least then it's explainable. I would imagine that, you know, the Aces feel a little bit of a different way about it. I think they probably are looking at it more of, you know, we went into halftime down and then we tried to battle our way back in, but officiating costed them that one, which I think certainly you can argue that on either side. For the Lynx, I mean, it does kind of ruin the Lynx's offense. They are a very flowing offense that focuses on ball movement. And when there's a whistle every 15 seconds, it's really hard for them to get into kind of their flowing offense. However, it seemed like the Lynx just kind of leaned into it. Fee, after the game, we asked her about it, and she said, you know, it's been a focus of hers as of late to try and get more contact, leaning into shots, trying to draw more fouls. It is an art form. I know oftentimes it's, you know, foul baiting and free throw merchants and all of those things are tough, but I think more so it's the art form of drawing fouls naturally, whether it's, you know, going up with one hand and trying to get the like opposing team to kind of reach in or grab at the offhand, whether it's jumping into a player's body so that it looks like there's a little bit more contact than there might actually be. And I mean, Fee, even though she got 13 free throws, I really don't feel like she got a ton of unfair foul calls, if that makes sense. I feel like most of hers were at least warranted. There were some in that fourth quarter with, you know, Shepard. There was a couple Atlanta Smith free throws where they may not have gotten touched a whole lot, but irregardless, free throws will probably be a topic in one locker room. In the other locker room, you know, the vibe was pretty much, yeah, we want to shoot more free throws. This was an extreme, but this is something we want to do. I am going to throw us over to a quick ad read here, which you guys are going to be so excited because I don't have to do ad reads because thankfully I figured out how to pre-record them. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about just kind of the niche player performances, a little bit about the Aces, and we'll go from there. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Lynx podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. Shout out again to Firehawk Construction. But let's get into some more of the niche things. Courtney Williams had an incredible game tonight. 10 of 12 from shooting, 3 of 4 from 3, had 3 rebounds, 5 assists, no turnovers, 23 points. She was unbelievable. And I asked Cheryl about it after the game of just, you know, when Courtney's having games like this, like obviously the scoring helps. But what is it about like Courtney in these type of, like when she's feeling it like this, brings the Lynx up? And Cheryl was pretty honest about it. It's her pick and roll game. When she is scoring and she's looking for her shot and gets that shot falling in, it changes everything because the defense then has to collapse on Williams in the mid-range. They have to respect her from 3, and that opens up layups for Fee, for Jessica Shepard, even like Lan got a couple like pick and pop threes that she unfortunately missed. But when the defense has to adjust to kind of corral Court, then it's Fee running head first into the basket with no defense in front of her. And I asked Fee kind of the same question of just what's it like when you get Court rolling like that. And she was just, in essence, said when Court's scoring like this, it's just an instant basket. Like it's either going to be Courtney making a mid-range or she's going to hit me and I have a layup. And no matter what, like it's a bucket. And sometimes that's like an obvious answer, but like when Courtney really is feeling it, she is such a gifted passer that she reacts so fast to that pick. She reacts so fast to like a double or someone hedging in to where she can just really whip that ball on a string, get it in there, and it's a layup. And Fee was the beneficiary of a couple of those tonight. I believe Shep got one too. That was just like a perfect pocket pass. And I think someone like kicked it last second. But Courtney Williams, when she's playing like this is the argument for the Lynx to still be like a championship contender. And I say still be because with everything the Liberty have done by bringing in Emma, getting John Kell back, Stewie, Sabs, Cloud, I think if the Lynx, even if they have the best record in the league, going into a series against a New York Liberty team, they're going to be the underdog. And I think the narrative you can look at of why that might be an overreaction is Courtney Williams can have these games. We saw it last year in the playoffs. We've seen it so far this season, and it's not unheard of. The other player that I thought really played well, Bridget Carlton, 3 of 5 from 3. We kind of talked about her on the last podcast. She went 3 of 7 from 3. And we talked to Cheryl a little bit about it after the game too. And Cheryl has been pretty honest about Bridget's magic number is 10. They need her to take 10 shots. That's the goal. Obviously, she only shot 7 times tonight, but Bridget taking those shots is going to help her get out of these funks. And these funks, again, we talked about it last time, like shooters are going to have slumps. This slump for BC has been pretty much half a season. And if she starts shooting 10 times a game, starts stringing together these performances, eventually she will snap out of it. And this is another proof concept point of that. 3 of 5 from 3. Hopefully on Sunday, she can string together another game. And just after a couple weeks of having productive shooting nights, hopefully they can kind of put this to the background. I mentioned her talking about Bridget, but Kayla McBride as well. She had by her standards, pretty tough 3-point shooting streak in the first half of the season. Other than the Commissioner's Cup kind of qualifying game, she hasn't been her normal Kayla McBride 40-something% shooting from 3. And tonight she goes 3 for 7. She went 4 of 12 overall, not ideal, but 3 for 7 from 3. I thought she was aggressive. She missed a couple layups that I think she'd probably like to have back. But coming out of the All-Star break, if this team doesn't make a major move, if they just get BC and KMAC firing at 40% from 3-point range again, that could be a move in and of itself. It's a stretch. Again, when you're looking at the Liberty team and you're looking at the Lynx team, obviously the top end talent of the Liberty is going to kind of win out in that like eye comparison. But again, you get Bridget shooting 40% from 3. All of a sudden she's a second team all defense caliber player that's hitting 40% from 3 and can pull down 5-6 rebounds a night. You get KMAC hitting 40% from 3 and you have 2 years in a row, an all-star guard that's shooting well. She's the best perimeter defender on the team. And then if they get this supernova version of Courtney, that all of a sudden starts to look a little bit easier. It starts to look a little bit better for them. The last individual player I just want to mention, Jessica Shepard was awesome tonight. 13 rebounds, a lot of them offensive rebounds, and a lot of them just by her just kind of sheer force moving players. Also had 4 assists, which wonderful. 10 points. Jessica Shepard is another one of the kind of wild card players on this team where, there's probably going to be a playoff game where Lan is in foul trouble and Shepard is going to be relied on to pretty much win that game. Can she do it? If she's playing like tonight, probably. She could probably swing a playoff game. There are other nights where, for whatever reason, she just doesn't seem as aggressive. I don't want to say like she's hesitant because I think Jess is a pretty deliberate player, but for whatever reason, she's not crashing the boards as hard. She's not making the reads as fast as she normally does. And this second half of the season is going to be really kind of a bet that Jessica is better than Emma. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than it's from what I've been kind of hearing in the background is Emma Meisman was kind of deciding between the Liberty and the Lynx and ended up going with the Liberty because I'm assuming there's more of an opportunity there. There's more of a chance for her to get big time minutes. And the Lynx with Shep, Fee, and Smith, where's that opportunity going to come from? I mean, obviously you could say you're going to play her over Shep, but if Shep's playing like this, it's going to be hard. Just a really impressive game by her tonight. I'm going to throw us over to one more ad read, and then we'll preview the next few games. And as always, if anyone in the live stream or over on TikTok have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. This show is about fan interaction. So we'll be back in a second. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. PenceHomes.com. Don't know why the .com didn't come, but shout out Nate Pence, Lynx super fan and presenting sponsor for Hitting the Hardwood. He was the first person to start making all this possible. So appreciate you, man. I decided during that ad read, shout out to Ola Kosu. We got third quarter Kosu minutes. I am fully behind turning that into a t-shirt that we all wear during blowouts. And she looks good. Again, for a 19, believe she turned 20 actually, so I can't say 19 anymore, but for a 20-year-old WNBA player, yes, she went 1 for 3 from the free throw line, but she had a couple drives where it's just you can see the vision. Okay, she is going to be a slasher, a bully small forward when she is 2 or 3 years from now at her peak. And on defense, I mean, I remember asking Cheryl about it in the training camp of just how does Ola know where to go? Does she understand the scheme or the system? And Cheryl was just kind of no, she just naturally understands spacing, naturally understands rotations. And every time she gets in for more than 45 seconds, you can just kind of see the vision that, okay, Ola might actually be something 2 years from now. And if they develop her like they hope she can develop, if you have an Ola, BC, Lan, and Fee kind of next generation 3 years from now, that's a good place to start. So shout out to her. I mean, give her props for kind of shining in the minutes she gets. So looking forward on the Lynx schedule, though, and Atlanta's going to be tough. We know that they are kind of a proven team at this point. They, whether it's defensively scoring, they really just are going to be a tough team for the Lynx to face. I do think that the Lynx having this, rest and kind of lesser schedule than playing 11 games in 20 nights is going to help. I think staying at home for the dream to come here is going to help. But the Lynx kind of Achilles heel, if I were to actually give them a Achilles heel for the entire season, has been rebounding. And Atlanta is a very good rebounding team. They shoot a lot of threes. They don't necessarily make the most in the league, but they shoot a lot of them. And they really just understand how to maximize their players, I think would be the polite way to say it. Like Brittany Griner is not Griner of 7 years ago. Like she's at a different stage of her career, but she's having an amazing season. And I bring that up to just say, I do think that this is going to be another game where the Lynx are going to be able to kind of prove we belong here. The Aces game tonight, obviously big statement. They came out and ran them off the court. It wasn't a game after about 6 minutes. And that's important, especially as you're ramping up towards the playoffs. I think fans that watched this team last year remember that this Lynx team was unbelievable after the Olympic break, whether it was Courtney Williams getting some time to kind of get more in shape, if we're going to say the quiet part out loud, or Alana Smith getting, less minutes playing with Australia than she did with Minnesota. Well, less bruising minutes with Australia. But I'm going to kind of keep mentioning the rest of this year is going to be tough. I mean, Atlanta, New York, Las Vegas, Seattle, Washington, New York, Atlanta, Indiana, Seattle. Then they finally get some easier ones with Sun, Wings, Aces, Valkyries. But even in the last 6, there's 2 potential playoff teams in there. So this is officially prove it time for the Lynx. They're going to be playing against the competition that the power ranking gods that write their power rankings have been kind of hitting the Lynx on, saying they have an easy schedule. And now the Lynx are going to have this opportunity to rip off these wins. Now we'll see if they can do it. I would not be surprised if the second half of the season they are more, they're 22-4 right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're more closer to like a 60% winning percentage as opposed to a 85% winning percentage. The last thing I did want to bring up is the Lynx are now officially 14-0 at home on the season. And doing a little bit of research, Seattle in 2010 started 14-0, ended up being unbeaten at home. The Sparks in 01, 14-0, ended up being unbeaten at home. Both of those teams won the championship. And the Lynx have been on point all season that this is a championship or bust season. And so far, they just continue to check off these mile markers, milestones of what do we need to do to be undefeated at home? Well, we need to beat all the good teams. If we're undefeated at home, we're proving we're a championship contender. So let's beat the good teams. And it's going to be interesting. There is a slight asterisk to that. The Indiana Fever did beat the Lynx at home in the Commissioner's Cup. I will take my colleague Terry Horstman, his side, and say that they played on a Commissioner's Cup imported floor. So the Lynx technically haven't lost a game on their home Lynx court this season, and I will be holding to that until they lose one. With that, we will be back Sunday after that 6 p.m. game against Atlanta. I appreciate the 175 plus of you that have swung by through YouTube or Twitter. I also do this over on TikTok. I'm kind of kicking around if I want to start streaming this on Instagram as well. So if people do have comments, I would love to answer those. If any pop up, well, I am thanking, Hitting the Hardwood for making me a part of their network, for bringing this podcast in. And if you are desperate for more Lynx coverage, there is the Hitting the Hardwood podcast with Mitch Hansen and the Lynx Happy Hour with Terry Horstman. They are two beat reporters that I work with, covering the Lynx, and awesome guys, awesome content. I'm not seeing any comments, so I am going to bid everyone good evening. Enjoy everyone's weekends, and we will be back on Sunday. But until then, go Lynx.